The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood should not be banned in schools because it educates the youth on the horrors of a corrupt society and exposes them to the aspects of this society that must be identified.
The Handmaid's Tale should be banned in high schools from the reading list because it includes scenes of extreme violence, emotional trauma that are inappropriate for required classroom text. The salvaging scene and Jane's birth scene expose students to graphic brutality and forced maternal laws that can be deeply disturbing rather than educational.
Go.
Chapter 21, Janice's birth scene, shines light on important issues that can be seen in our own society. It is a key example of the constraints and expectations that are put upon women, and it is important for students to read about these issues in school so that they can delve deeper into them and understand how they affect our own society. A quote from the chapter, What confronts us now the excitement's over, is our own failure. The handmaids understand their only purpose in life is to have children. They are not allowed to do anything else in life, and reading about an experience like this, though fictional, can create a window into our own world and allow students to better understand the reality of the lives of women who have expectations constraining their lives. This book addresses several important issues, and there is no reason its message should be silenced.
During Janine's birth scene, she's forced to give birth publicly and her baby's taken from her immediately and given to another woman. Her pain is not only physical but emotional, as she is stripped of her role as a mother seconds after giving birth. The scene turns childbirth into a public spectacle in which Janine has no privacy, autonomy, or control over her own body. For students, especially those with personal or family experiences related to childbirth, loss, or bodily trauma, being required to read and visualize the scene can be emotionally distressing and triggering. Because this text is assigned rather than optional, students are denied the ability to choose not to read a text that depicts forced production and maternal separation, making this scene inappropriate for a high school academic setting where emotional safety should be prioritized.
Go.
Though gruesome, Chapter 43 exposes the dangers of false power. In a corrupt society, leaders find ways to give those below them a false sense of power so that they are less likely to rebel. The handmaids are given just that when they are told to kill the man in front of them at the salvaging. Those who are on the same side are then turned against each other. These topics are important to read about because it is necessary to recognize when a group of people are being manipulated. Chapter 43 states, "He wasn't a rapist at all. He was a political. He was one of ours. I knocked him out, put him out of his misery. Don't you know what they're doing to him?" This excerpt clearly shows the consequences of lack of free speech. Living in a society where everyone can have their own opinion is a luxury in some places, and it is important for the youth to understand how in many cases there can be consequences for speaking up for what they believe in. It's important to make the youth aware of the importance of free speech and the consequences of the lack of it.
In the salvaging scene, the handmaids are pushed into beating a man to death with their own hands. This is a public graphic act of violence that students must witness in detail. Instead of encouraging thoughtful analysis, the scene risks desensitizing students to brutality and normalizing more violence in a school setting.
Their strongest argument will most likely be that the book is inappropriate and unsuitable for high schoolers. This is because this book has very detailed scenes of gruesome events and birth, which may be traumatizing for young readers. They're wrong, and this argument will not hold up because even though some things are gruesome and may negatively affect young viewers, that cannot override the importance that books such as this one have on the development of young minds. If we never read or talked about the darker side of history or never confronted the bad sides of human nature, we would also come to these ideals. While our opponents propose never indulging in literature with controversial topics, we propose becoming educated on these topics, reading literature on these topics, and having meaningful discussions about how we feel about these topics.
Now, the other side is going to argue that in the salvaging scene, it kind of shows students what happens when a group is controlled. Well, in reality, the only thing that the salvaging scene shows is what happens when mobs come together to murder people. Okay, that's what happened in that story. It's none of this, detailed looks at, oh, they're being manipulated. No, they saw a person who they were allowed to kill, and they went after him, and killed him. It's not a lesson we want to be teaching our children. Just imagine a class full of 10th graders, 11th graders, 12th graders coming together, okay? That's just like the mob in this book. Do you want 30 of them coming around and killing somebody? Someone who they don't like? I don't think we do. Now, during the birth scene, they're gonna argue that this is, something good to talk about, that we should see, the gruesome details of this particular birth. In reality, I don't think we should. There are much, much better books to have these kind of conversations, which don't also have these things surrounding them, such as having people want to murder other people and having people, manipulated, just like, and giving them the tools to be able to manipulate others. Because that's the only thing that this book is giving them. There's no helpful conversations in this book. It's all not very good. Now, in our refutation, we need to argue that that intent doesn't justify impact. High school students can learn about all of these topics in much, much better books. This book in particular needs to be banned because of the reasons that we stated earlier, because in the salvaging scene, we see people brutally beat someone to death. We don't want to be giving that message to our children. And in the birth scene, she's forced to give birth publicly, and her baby is taken away from her. We don't want to be giving kids the idea that this is okay, that it's okay to go into a woman's, birth and take her baby away from her. It's clear that that's what this book is showing the youth.
High school is when young adults are developing their own opinions, and having access and exposure to these kinds of texts is vital to developing well-rounded opinions. Without exposure to the struggles portrayed in this book and many others, we as a society run the risk of not being properly educated on the warning signs of a movement such as the one portrayed in this book. If we ban books such as these, we lose the skills that they teach us and the knowledge that comes along with consuming dystopian literature. It is important that we as a society consume atrocities such as the ones portrayed in *Handmaid's Tale* in literature form in order to educate ourselves and allow our society to prevent it from occurring in our own world.
Go.
Because these two scenes rely on extreme violence and emotional trauma, and because this book is clearly giving students the wrong idea about what they can do in their lives and who they can abuse without any repercussion, such as what happened in this book, The Handmaid's Tale is not appropriate as required in high school reading and should be banned from the curriculum.